name, fame, activity, characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with no tinge of material contamination. And so when we sing this song, Jai Radha Madhava, it gives us a window into the name, fame, activities, and characteristics of Krishna. So maybe, just maybe, that before we start Srimad Bhagavatam, we can sing this Jai Radha Madhava in a way that our hairs in the back of our head will stand up, and we will get into a mood of we are about to hear something very, very special. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Jaya Radha Kalasanji Radha Kalasanji Shri Radhe. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Praminde. Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. For these invocation verses, if we can sing together both the Sanskrit and the translation, please. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devyam sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayasya babreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utamasoke bhaktir bhavati naistaki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed, and the loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gantimarandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshuran Mitanyamnena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Him. Okay, did your hairs raise in the back of your head? No? Yes, no? Did your mood shift to a mood of it's time for Srimad Bhagavatam, and now I'm ready, completely present and ready to hear the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam? Mine didn't. My hairs in it. But I did a little shift in mood. Maybe one day, when I sing Jai Radha Madhava and get ready for Srimad Bhagavatam, the hairs will stand on my head. So if you guys all would be so kind to bless me in that way, that someday Nanda Braja will have a taste that will make his hairs on the back of his head for Srimad Bhagavatam, and not just football. Right? A little embarrassing, right? Okay. So let's start off with, today, Krishna's so kind in our lives, and he gives us these opportunities to increase our understanding of what it means to be a devotee. And I really feel so blessed by this opportunity to speak this class, because it's something that's in my heart, and it's just like being able to meditate on, speaking on this subject has been very purifying. So, in Krishna consciousness is like that. Krishna is arranging things so that we can take full advantage of the energy of the Lord by using it in a spiritual nature that gives us great benefit, instead of using it for material nature, which ends in birth and death. Don't do that. Okay, so let's go to 3:29:21, please. And if you would get us started, please, Dristadumna Prabhu.
Text 21. I am present in every living entity as the supersoul. If someone neglects or disregards that supersoul everywhere and engages himself in the worship of the deity in the temple, that is simply imitation.
I forgot to mention that the topic for today, this is kind of helpful to announce the topic. It kind of gets us to our minds start to absorb in some of the things, is becoming a well-wisher of every living entity. Becoming a well-wisher of every living entity. Okay, 22, please.
One who worships the deity of Godhead in the temples, but does not know that the Supreme Lord as Paramatma is situated in every living entity's heart, must be in ignorance, and is compared to one who offers oblations unto ashes.
One who offers me respect but is envious of the bodies of others and is therefore a separatist never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior toward other living entities.
My dear mother, even if he worships with proper rituals and paraphernalia, a person who is ignorant of my presence in all living entities never pleases me by the worship of my deities in the temple.
Performing his prescribed duties, one should worship the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead until one realizes my presence in his own heart and in the hearts of other living entities as well.
As the blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities because of a differential outlook.
Therefore, through charitable gifts and attention, as well as through friendly behavior, and by viewing all to be alike, one should propitiate me, who abide in all creatures as their very self.
Okay. Oh, that's it. 27. Right? That was 27? Yeah. Okay, we'll go back to 23, please. Okay. Divisyatya parakaye mam. Oops, a little early. Sorry. Okay. Divyastya parakaye mam. Divyastya parakaye mam. Manino binya darsinaha. Manino binya darsinaha. Bhuteshu badya vairasya. Bhuteshu badya vairasya. Namana santim richati. Namanya santim tim richati. Javista parakaye mam. Manino binya darsinaha. Bhuteshu badya varyasya. Namanya santim richati. Please, Bolo. Divishta parakaya mam. Manino binya darsinaha. Bhuteshu badavaryasya. Namanayam timrichiti. Divishta parakaye mam. Mani no bina darsanaha. Bhuteshu padyavaryasya. Namanya santim richati. Difista paramakayamam. Mani no bina darsanaha. Bhuteshu padyavaryasya. Namana santim richati. Difista parakaye mam. Mani no binya darsana. Bhuteshu bhadyavaryasya. Namana santim richati. Difita parakaye mam. Mani no binya darsinaha. Bhuteshu bhadyavaryasya. Namanya santim richati. We can read the word-by-word translation all together, please. Divyasta. One who is envious, parakaye, towards the body of another, mam, unto me, maninaha, offering respects, bina darsinaha, of a separatist, bhute shu, towards living entities, bhadyavaryasya, of one who is inimical, na, not, manaha, the mind, santim, peace, richati, attains. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. One who offers me respect, but is envious of the bodies of others, and is therefore a separatist, never attains peace of mind, because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities. Please repeat. One who offers me respect, but is envious of the bodies of others, and is therefore a separatist, never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities. In this verse, two phrases, bhute shu badya varyasya, inimical towards others, and divistya parakaye, envious of another's body, are significant. One who is envious of or inimical towards others never experiences any happiness. A devotee's vision, therefore, must be perfect. He should ignore bodily distinctions and should see only the presence of the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord Himself in His plenary expansion as Supersoul. That is the vision of a pure devotee. The bodily expression of a particular type of living entity is always ignored by the devotee. It is expressed herein that the Lord is always eager to deliver the conditioned souls who have been encaged within the material bodies. Devotees are expected to carry the message or desire of the Lord to such conditioned souls and enlighten them with Krishna consciousness. Thus they may be elevated to transcendental spiritual life, and the mission of their lives will be successful. Of course, this is not possible for living entities who are lower than human beings, but in human society it is feasible that all living entities can be enlightened with Krishna consciousness. Even living entities who are lower than humans can be raised to Krishna consciousness by other methods. For example, Sivananda Sena, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, delivered a dog by feeding him prasadam. Distribution of prasad, or remnants of foodstuffs offered to the Lord, even to the ignorant masses of people and to animals, gives such living entities a chance for elevation to Krishna consciousness. Factually, it happened that the same dog, when met by Lord Chaitanya at Puri, was liberated from the material condition. It is especially mentioned here that the devotee must be free from all violence. Jiva himsa. The Lord Chaitanya has recommended that a devotee not commit violence to any living entity. Sometimes the question is raised that since vegetables also have life and devotees take vegetable foodstuffs, isn't that violence? First, however, take some leaves, twigs, or fruits from a tree or plant. Does not kill the plant. Besides that, jiva himsa means that since every living entity has to pass through a particular type of body according to his past karma, although every living entity is eternal, he should not be disturbed disturbed in his gradual evolution. A devotee has to execute the principles of devotional service exactly as they are, and he must know that however insignificant a living entity may be, the Lord is present within him. A devotee must realize the universal presence of the Lord. Before I speak on this, can we please turn to 329.21 to the purport? And Drista, would you read this purport, please?
Purport. In purified consciousness, or Krishna consciousness, one sees the presence of Krishna everywhere. Therefore, if one only engages in deity worship in the temple and does not consider other living entities, then he is in the lowest grade of devotional service. One who worships the deity in the temple and does not show respect to others is a devotee on the material platform, in the lowest stage of devotional service. A devotee should try to understand everything in relationship with Krishna, and try to serve everything in that spirit. To serve everything means to engage everything in the service of Krishna. If a person is innocent and does not know his relationship with Krishna, an advanced devotee should try to engage him in the service of Krishna. One who is advanced in Krishna consciousness can engage not only the living entity, but everything in the service of Krishna.
So, in the early days, there was a devotee who noticed that one of the other devotees was spending quite frivolously. This devotee was taking flights and to different areas of the world, and it seemed to them that they weren't just using it in a sense of that this was Krishna's money, that this was Srila Prabhupada's money, and so we should be careful to not spend frivolously. So he mentioned it to one of the senior members of the movement, and they decided that they would go talk to Srila Prabhupada about it. So both of them sitting there in front of Srila Prabhupada, the devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, I've noticed that this devotee is spending like this, and they're doing this, and he goes and gives a list to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada looked at the devotee that had brought the senior devotee, and said, ask him to leave right now. And they were surprised, and so the devotee turned to the other devotee and said, Srila Prabhupada is asking you to leave right now. Srila Prabhupada is very upset. So the purport or the understanding we could have in this situation is that the devotee who was speaking about the other devotee was speaking in a way out of violence or enviness. They weren't concerned about this devotee's spiritual practice, spiritual life, and that they could be affecting their path to Krishna, their devotional service. No, they were taking great joy in telling Srila Prabhupada about how this devotee had done wrong. It was very unattractive to Srila Prabhupada, and he asked the devotee to leave. So similarly, if we want to be the well-wisher to everyone, we must understand that we are here to serve everyone. Being part and parcel of Krishna, Krishna is the supreme, and we are serving him, and what's most pleasing to Krishna is our service to the devotees. Right? So we could ask ourselves, what would be a better attitude of this devotee so that they could, instead of being envious and hurting their own spiritual life and possibly the spiritual life of the other persons, how could they do it in such a way that they are increasing their spiritual life and possibly increasing the spiritual life of others? I'm going to ask that. Does anybody have any suggestions, thoughts?
I was thinking that instead of the devotee could have approached Prabhupada with concern for the spiritual life of the other devotee. Instead of saying like, oh, he's doing this and that, saying, oh, I'm worried about this devotee because he's doing this and that. And then, yeah, maybe that's out of a place of more compassion than, judgment.
So he still could have done his duty. He still could have talked to Srila Prabhupada. He could have still brought these things up. He could have still brought his concerns up. And he could have done it in a way that was as a well-wisher. Instead of I don't know if enemy might be a little bit of a harsh word, but anyways, not in a way of well-wishing, right? In this verse, there was the word separatist. A separatist is one who sees oneself and others as separate from the Lord. So if we see everybody as non-separate from Krishna, then there's no sense of violence or not wanting the very best for this person. So we have these situations where we think of this subject called nonviolent communication. Raise your hand if you've heard of nonviolent communication, right? And it's a way that we're getting past the harshness of words, the harshness of behaviors, and we're trying to understand what's deeper, what's the thing that person is trying to express. So sometimes this isn't very recognizable by us. So in nonviolent communication, we can, out of desire to understand, we can inquire. This is a situation we come across quite often in our spiritual life, right? Somebody does something that we don't understand, and we can say we have two decisions. We can decide that person is a bad person, they're my enemy, and therefore I'm wishing some kind of pain on them or I'm separating them from Krishna, right? And this comes out in different ways, right? Sometimes when we see that person, we might think, or maybe we see that person do something that's not good for them or it hurts them, and we say, that person deserved that, right? They did that one thing, and so they deserve it. Or we might think, you know what? I wasn't prepared this time when that person did this thing, but next time when they do it, I'm going to be very prepared, and I'm going to give it to them. But this is complete Maya, because we are seeing them separate from the Lord. Instead, we can say, you know what? We can take a moment to think and say, what is it that I'm having an issue with? And how can I bring this up to this person that can be inquiring? Or sometimes we're in a situation where we are talking to people who are that we have the duty to or the service to help, right? To help them. And then there's situations as devotees where there's our peers and our seniors who we have no business correcting. We have no business telling what to do, but yet we're disturbed. We're like, we don't understand why they did these things. So we have two different situations. We have maybe our students, you could say, and maybe our staff, or those that we are have a duty to correct. And then we have those that we have no duty to correct, peers and is, but we still can be disturbed by these things. So there's two actions that we can take as devotees. But there's one thing that is above all, is that we are well-wishing this person nothing but the best in their spiritual life. So in the situation of for Krishna conscious terms or ISKCON terms, a junior, we can also inquire, hey, I saw like this. Why what happened there? Or can you explain it to me? And they might explain it to you, and you can say, okay, in this situation, what do you think about doing like this? The flavor or the attitude that we can take is that of concern and curiosity. I'm trying to understand this situation. This happened like this. Please help me understand. Maybe there's a situation where we haven't perceived the situation correctly, right? So we can ask, we can inquire, what happened here? And then the concern comes in. But as devotees, our concern is that this person's walking a way that's going to be pleased with Krishna, and we're also doing it in a way that's pleasing Krishna. So we can bring that concern to him. This happened, Jai Shishi Radha Kala Shandaji. Jai. We have a very, very dramatic, closing of the curtain. Slow. To our seniors, we can also inquire, right? And give our concern. I saw like this, Prabhu. I didn't understand. As a matter of fact, we can even say, it hurt me in this way. Can you please understand me what was going on there? And I'm concerned because, I don't want to, I'd like to understand this. I have some maybe a bad taste in my mouth. I'd like to understand, right? So, we'll come up with certain tough situations where we're seeing things that we don't understand or things that might not be so good for people's spiritual life. But really, we need to make sure that we aren't being, affecting, we aren't being detrimental to our spiritual life and others. So, we're trying to chant Hare Krishna. We're trying to chant attentive. We're trying to chant and get a taste for the Lord's name. But outside of our chanting, if we're not understanding that everybody's part and parcel and well-wishing them the best in their success for Krishna consciousness, then really we're hurting ourselves and we won't get a taste for Krishna's name. We won't be able to chant attentively and we will get frustrated. This is different. So, this is very important because outside of our chanting and our regular sadhana is also affecting our spiritual life. For instance, we chant Hare Krishna and we're cleaning up the mirror, the dust off the mirror off our heart, right? And we're putting in all this work and maybe we get a little bit of a taste of chanting Hare Krishna. We get in some meditation. But then we get done and we commit sinful activities or offenses to the holy name. Then it's just like adding dirt back to the mirror. And then we have to go and clean it again and again. But it's more than just this. Because we are personalists in Krishna consciousness. We're not just thinking of cleaning and dirtying and cleaning and dirtying. No, we have personal relationships. And so, Jai Shishi Radha Kalashanaji. So when we're offending devotees, we're offending Krishna. How can we get a taste for chanting Hare Krishna if we're offending the devotees? How do we chant Hare Krishna and say, Krishna, I want to be your servant. Please engage me in your devotional service. And Krishna says, but how can I trust you? How do I know if I engage you in devotional service that you're not going to hurt one of my dear devotees? And in this situation, it makes it very difficult to chant Hare Krishna nicely. So we must become well-wishers to every living entity. We might not be separatists. We must always endeavor to think about what is best for other spiritual life, and therefore we're thinking what's best for our spiritual life. Let me see if I have anything else in my notes. I wanted to mention that our seeing, if we are conscious, Srila Prabhupada said that before we become Krishna conscious, we become conscious. So if we can become conscious of those attitudes that we have when something's done to us wrongly and see how we're going to deal with it, then we get a really good glimpse of our heart and the anartas that we have to overcome. Yes, the thing that somebody did might not be right, but how you react to it is your responsibility. So if we act with envy or jealousy or pride or a desire to see somebody's get what they have coming to them, then this is our anarta. And it's a very, anarta means unwanted thing. And why is this something that's unwanted? Because it's keeping us from chanting Hare Krishna in a way that is pleasing to Krishna. There's envy, jealousy, lust. These things are in our heart. So if we would take a moment to say when something to us is done in an unpalatable way, what is our root of our, what's the root of our, how we're going to act, then we can start to see if there's any anartas that are going to be in our way through communication, through nonviolent communication. And if we feel some kind of envy or jealousy or wanting to something that's non-favorable to this other person, then we can ask ourselves a question. Okay, I feel like this. I was done wrong. But what is best in this situation? What can I best do that is going to help this person's spiritual life and help mine? And then we start to get different answers, right? If we come from the mood of envy, lust, anger, then we're going to get a different answer. We're going to start to think of ways to get back at people or speak in front of our authorities in a way that's not favorable to that person. Like that other devotee spoke to Srila Prabhupada. Or we might even start talking to our peers about that. And this is just so devastating to our spiritual life. But if we change over to the thought that this devotee is a devotee, they're part and parcel of Krishna, and that I want to see the best for them, then we start to get different answers. And I even went into some of them about some of the answers that we might get or the ways that we can do this. But again, we're personal. How you do it might be separate than the way that I do it. But there are some tools that we can use. Curiosity, concern, a desire. The principle is a desire to see the best for this person, to see them advance in Krishna consciousness, and therefore please Krishna. Can you go to 329.25? In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, one should not be satisfied. If you can find that, please. And then, Premamrita, would you be reading that until the sentence, until it ends without profit? 3:29:25. The purport, it starts with, one should not be satisfied. Up a little bit. One should worship. Okay, keep on going down. You could also search for one should not be satisfied.
It says it right here. Is
Well, yes, there it is. There it is. Thank you. Can you read that until?
Sorry. One, where did it go? One should not be satisfied simply by discharging his duties properly. He must realize his relationship and the relationship of all other living entities with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If he does not understand this, then even though he discharges his prescribed duties properly, it is to be understood that he is simply laboring without profit.
Thank you. So we're not just doing things just for our duty or just to do things properly. We're doing it because everybody's a parcel and parcel of Krishna, and our ultimate goal is to be pleasing to Krishna. So therefore, we might have to, or we should think of this about how we can be well-wishers of every living entity and please Krishna, and that pleasing Krishna will help our rounds. We can chant attentively, and maybe we get some we will eventually get some taste for chanting Hare Krishna. Is 8:21. I went 6 minutes over. I was thinking that question and answer time was 8:20. I apologize. That's one thing that I'm going to ask all speakers is to stop at 8:15 so we have a good amount of time to speak. So I apologize. That is my mistake. I was thinking 8:20. But questions and answers. Any thoughts? Drisadumna Prabhu.
Thank you for the nice class. I was thinking, at least in my life or in my generation's life, we're raised kind of in this culture where the most sensational thing you can hear is something negative. What's on the headlines? Oh, there was some terrible thing happened. Or if you ever see a celebrity's name, it's they were caught doing this or they were caught doing that. And so that's the main thing that catches their eye. You don't really see news headlines as much saying, oh, this person's such a good person. So I see that I've been like kind of trained in this way that when I hear something like negative comes up about someone, I'm like, oh, wow, that's like interesting, you know? And sometimes it can carry over into the association of devotees. And so someone's like, oh, did you hear that this devotee did that? And so because of this conditioning, it sometimes comes up and I'm like, oh, what'd they do? And then I get into a whole mess of trouble. So I was wondering if you had any ideas of how we can fight this this setup of the material world where everyone is so eager to hear gossip about others or eager to hear the downfall of people around them.
What I'm about to say isn't so easy, but it's not towards you, Drista. This is a thing that needs to be said because a lot of us are in this situation. We have to get past the neophyte stage as devotees. Srila Prabhupada said it in that purport, the first one that we read, right? That as a materialistic devotees, then we're going to be tasting these things. We're going to taste gossip. We're going to take, the tongue is not going to be controlled. So we really must go to nectar of instruction and realize that, I'm at this level and I need to raise to the next level, the Madhyam Adhikari, right? Where we start to engage everything in Krishna's service. So we read very attentively from our acharyas on the things that we can do to get to this next stage, like controlling our tongue. So practically how we can do that is by, here's something that's been coming up in my life and that I'm trying to do, is first we start to have an intention in the beginning of the day. We've recognized something that we want to improve, and we say, hey, Krishna, hey, Kalashandaji, you're my friend. I am having this issue. I'm so small. I have been conditioned in this world that is so attracted to gossip and materialistic talks. And I'm so small that I cannot overcome this. So please help me. Give me some intelligence about how to overcome this. And you know what will happen? Throughout the day, you'll get opportunities to practice. And you'll fail sometimes. And that's okay. Because you'll get back on the horse. And you'll say, at the end of the day, you can say, Kalashandaji, today I prayed to you about trying to control my tongue and to overcome materialistic talk. And you know what? There's a couple times I failed, and they were like this, and they were like that. But you know what? There was a couple times I succeeded too. Tomorrow I'd like to even get better. And your friend will listen to you, and your friend will reciprocate with you, and he will give you the strength. We're not doing this by ourselves. We have the Supreme Personality of Godhead right here that wants to see us succeed. But we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to hear the tough things? Are we willing to be open and say, man, I have some neophyte devotee inclinations, you know? And I want to get better. The desire to get better is already on that path of improving it over a neophyte devotee. So, was that helpful? Yeah? Shringarupa Prabhu. Just 1 second. So I wanted to clarify the intentions in the beginning and reflect at the end of the day. Intentions in the beginning of the day, I'm going to do like this. Reflections at the end of the day to see how you did. And then you can ask yourself how, not only ask yourself, you can talk to Krishna about how you can improve. And then if you need something more than that, you can have senior devotees, that also are helping you, people that you talked about the issue. Thank you. Sorry.
No, thank you. Thank you for the nice question. I appreciate your answer of, striving to advance in Krishna consciousness and praying for help and reflecting on what we're doing. And one thing I've noticed for myself personally is if I'm it really depends on where my mindset is at. Like if I'm kind of in a place of experiencing some kind of gratitude or appreciation for all the devotees that I'm around, then like all the problems and issues kind of sort of like go away. I don't really think about those. But if I'm in a place of maybe not feeling so grateful, not appreciating what we have and what this temple, the devotees that I'm around, and sometimes my mind can go to the negative and the different issues, and this person did that, and how come they're not doing this? And so it's not exactly what you're saying, but in one sense, I just find that I find myself gravitating more towards or appreciating more when I'm feeling grateful for everything that I've got, to the positive qualities and being so grateful to be around these devotees and where we're at. And if I'm not in that place, if I'm feeling whatever it is, tired, grumpy, not appreciating where I'm at, then my mind tends to gravitate more towards the negative and the issues and the problems. Just a little reflection.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you for that. Thank you for your answers, and thank you for your question. I just wanted to add to, I think it's amazing, this morning when I woke up, I was just laying there for a few minutes thinking that maybe this is in the ether. Yeah. I was just thinking that gratitude is the oxygen of the soul. If I don't feel gratitude, I'm suffocating.
Kaylee.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Nanda Braj, for the class and everybody's reflections. It's really sweet to hear all of this. I am curious a little bit about this part that's talking in this verse about the separatist, because it seems that kind of in our Krishna consciousness movement, we have a lot of this mentality, like devotees and non-devotees, and we cannot. I mean, maybe not everyone, just me at least. I can see like there are clear differences between people who are practicing devotional service or trying, and then people that are not. So how do we not have this separatist mentality when we notice some of these like differences between these things?
In the middle platform, we're still being able to decipher about what's good for our Krishna consciousness, what's good for others' Krishna consciousness, what's not good for our Krishna consciousness, and what's not good for others' Krishna consciousness. So if you see a lion, should you go give it a hug?
No.
Okay. That's not very good for your Krishna consciousness, right? So yes, we can understand simply on the fact of what's, there's some things that are going to be good for our Krishna consciousness and not, and then act in that way. That doesn't mean that we have to be disrespectful towards other living entities. That's the hard part. The hard part is can I go above and beyond seeing these differences, and can I still respect that person as a part and parcel of Krishna? And then use my intelligence about how how best to act. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's thank you. I was thinking it helps to focus more on the similarities rather than the differences, because if we only see if we, for instance, we have people we call as karmis, but if we see that, I have the same thing in a different way, then we can see kind of like the connection that we all have together. Yeah, but it's hard to do that sometimes.
It's a very interesting subject about how to act in a way that's positive for your Krishna consciousness and others. I mean, for instance, here something comes to my mind is that we might see tendencies in other devotees that aren't palatable to ourselves. And so we should use our intelligence how to step that. We don't just keep on, if it's triggering to somebody, we don't just keep on doing it, right? We should say, you know what, this is a behavior that this person does not like, so I'm going to do everything I can to sidestep that, right? So the point being is that we also need to use our intelligence to see that some things aren't favorable for our Krishna consciousness and recognize it, but still be palatable and respectful and about how we sidestep it, how we, and sometimes, no, not sometimes, and often that comes from mistakes, mistakes, doing mistakes. Anyways, yeah.
Thank you.
I wanted to say that I really appreciate this answer of gratitude, and my thought when I heard it was, we have gratitude for other living entities, and then we take it even one step further and say, how do I serve this person? And sometimes the service might be staying the heck out of their way, or it might be, going to talk to some. Anyways, the answers are infinitive. But the point is to be grateful, well-wishers, and want the best for this person's spiritual life. How can I serve them? How can I serve them? How can I serve them? And then when we see the people that are so-called our enemies and we're willing to serve them, then we're putting ourselves in a pretty dang good position to start chanting very nicely. Okay, 3 minutes over. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Praminde Hari Hari Bo.